YouTube, what's going on? Another beautiful day in the neighborhood over here in wild West Virginia. You know, the toll road, 77, of course. How's everybody's weekend so far? Not too bad? Let me pause this. Shit, how do I do that? There we go. Okay. Yeah, fuck. Reset over the road again. You know, listen. You can, 36-hour reset, right? 36, because going back and forth into crossing the international border, it's different reset times, right? Need 36 hours reset to get back into Canada, all right? For those of you that don't know, now you know. 34 don't cut it. So a 36-hour reset, and it pays $350. You know, so if you're really motivated to make money at this company, there's ways that you can, right? I mean, if you're willing to do the tarping, you know, oversized tarp, $400, right? So $200 on each end. And sometimes oversized tarp is literally 2 inches outside the rub rail, and one 6-foot tarp or 1 8-foot tarp sometimes. And then sometimes the oversized loads are double drop, crane the fucking tarp up, or lift truck, tow motor, the two tow motors on either side of the trailer, drive under it. It's all kind of balances itself out in the end. But I guess what I'm getting at is like, by the time they pay you the $400 for an oversized tarp, they pay you the $10 an hour extra to drag it down the road. You throw in a $400 reset that week onto it, and it doesn't take a math genius to add those numbers up. And that's not to be braggadocious, right? I think you guys know me by now. That's the last thing I am, is a bragger. But it is to let people know that there are legitimately decent paying jobs in this industry if you've got everything together on your end. You're not going to make 6 figures with, being on the, pissing dirty, or getting speeding tickets, or getting all kinds of scale infractions, right? You're not going to. You're a mess, right? It puts you well below the middle of the pack when you're dealing with a driver that has all that baggage. And that's just the reality of this business. And again, I spoke about it briefly, but you got to be careful when you're in your personal vehicle as well. This is the only industry where the same license you use to transport you and your family on your personal time impacts your ability to do your professional job. There's no other license that exists. If you're a pilot, it ain't the same license. If you're a crane operator, it's not the same license. If you're a plumber, electrician, a mechanic, it's not the same license, right? Trucking, as far as I know, is the only industry that will impact the same license you use for your personal self will impact your professional ability to operate for your job, And that needs to change, right? That needs to change. Now, I would say that most of us out here, doing things the right way, become accustomed to driving in a certain manner. So, generally speaking, that's not going to be a problem. But things happen, right? And mistakes are made, and I don't believe that, going down the road, bringing, your kid to hockey practice and you misjudge, or something happens, whatever the case may be, and something unfortunate happens, and next thing you know, you're being punished professionally for a mistake you made on your own time. I think it's absolute nonsense, and that's one of the things that I would change instantly in this business. Excuse me. Got a frog in my throat. Anyway, I'm watching Insane Nation again. Insane Nation. I get why people watch his videos. He's very transparent, right? Very simple. He's, I said transparent, upfront. I would say, for the most part, honest, right? And there's a certain amount of innocence. I'll call it innocence about him, right? So when you are watching his videos and you watch him literally taking a step into a steaming pile of shit, you wanna, the protector in us, right? The father in us, the friend in us, we want to go like, whoa, don't step in that, but he can't help himself, he just steps in it. And all of this comes from wisdom, and the only way to gain wisdom is through time. You cannot obtain wisdom without, spending time on this earth and making mistakes, or watching people hopefully make mistakes, right? And learning from them. But what I seen in this last video was more of the same, right? He had an unexpected death in the family, thoughts and prayers to him and his family, grandma passed away, right? And so that's going to impact our ability to make money, right? We'd like to be able to have the opportunity to share or celebrate with our families, and that kind of thing. And so his company was very from what I seen, they were very helpful in making sure he got home, which is, right, that's a bonus. And then he had some kind of a little bit of a dilemma with using personal conveyance, and of course he blew his lid, he blew his top. It wasn't on video, this is coming out of his mouth. He said that he lost his beep, lost his composure. And listen, I know for myself, I needed to learn to stop taking things so personally. That's something that still happens, right? I can take things personally. We get out here, we spend so much time by ourselves, and then something happens that's not within our reach, or not something we can control, right? Because let's face it, as the captain of your ship, and the only person you have to answer to in your whole world is the phone call with your dispatcher, the phone call with your significant other once in a while, but ultimately the only person that we have to hold ourselves accountable is ourselves, right? And there's a beauty in that, and there's a curse in that, because once something happens that's beyond our control, that's not within our ability to twist, turn, push, pull, tug our way out of it, we, and I'll speak in the first person, I get anxious about it. I become fearful, right? And that's where the maturity, the emotional maturity comes into play, right? That's when our ability to recognize, hey, we've been here before, this is what worked before, this is what did not work before, this is what caused more chaos, this is what, and these are the things that take time, right? And experience, and like I said, wisdom. And so for him to say whatever he said, it's a brand new company, he's been there not even a month, and you want to start, beacon off to the office, right? Not a good idea, bud. It's not a good idea. There's times like that where we can feel like we're the only one in the company, right? And I'm having a conversation with you. Well, they've got a list of about 10 or 12 other people they have to have the same exact conversation with today, right? But in that moment, it's about us. And there's a way to go about handling situations, especially when it comes to dealing with the office as a truck driver, right? There's ways to handle it, and there's ways to absolutely not handle it. And as soon as you show your ass to the office, that's it. Like, as far as I'm concerned, I'd start looking for another job. And I have, right? I have. I learned that there's some things that you can say that you just can't take back. And there's some things that we say and we do that they will never forget. And that's going to pose a problem in the future for you, right? It comes to between you and another driver and a shitty load. Who do you think's going to get that load? The driver that was, beacon off and telling them where to go and how to get there, or the driver that shut their mouth, handled it with maturity, handled it like an adult, was able to express how they felt without personally attacking them, right? Who do you think's going to get that shit load? That's what we call a rhetorical question. Oh, fuck. This part of the country is beautiful. There is no doubt. But when you've got, 44,000, I don't know, I'm close to 78,000 pounds, right? Going up and down through this turnpike here is a real pain in the ass. And you can literally watch your fuel gauge go. Which, hey, listen, as a company driver, it's like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm mindful of my fuel consumption, but at the end of the day, this is where you want me to go, and this is the load that you put me on. Not my problem. Anyway, where were we? Okay, so, there's that aspect of dealing with the office, right? I mean, like I've said before, all of us out here could use a master class in etiquette and, a little bit of business savvy, interpersonal relationship skills, right? We could all use a tune-up on that. And again, right, it goes back to the low barrier to entry in trucking. It goes back to the high stress of the job. It goes back to all the time that we spend alone, and if our first interaction of the week with another human being is negative, chances are it's not going to be handled properly. This is all speculation, and it's my opinion, right? It's my opinion based on my 20 years out over the road working in trucking, right? It's what I see, it's what I've been through, it's what I've talked to other drivers about, it's my experience with other companies, and 20 years is a good amount of time to base an educated 20 years is a long time to gather information, right? And I'm just conveying this information to the audience, right? And thank you to all the new subscribers, by the way. Welcome to the Driver's Lounge. I appreciate you hitting that subscribe. I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the interaction. There is nothing you can say in the comment section that's going to offend me in any way. You can call me whatever you want and have whatever opinion of me that you want. As long as it's honest and sincere, I welcome it. right? I welcome it because I don't think that anybody's liberties and freedoms should be, trampled on or like, feel free to say what you want, right? Yeah, so, I don't know. Hopefully, listen, the guys on the kind of flatbedding that this dude's doing, right? Insane Nation, bricks and sticks. I've talked about it before. If there's a flatbedding that that I'm not interested, if there's one aspect of flatbedding, it's construction materials. It's just, it's a big part of flatbed, obviously. How else do they transport, patio stones and shingles and 2x4s and, fiberglass, you name it, right? I mean, it gets transported on a flatbed. But as far as spending 20 years in the industry and strapping down shingles and lumber, no. And bricks, no. Bricks and sticks, no thank you. I've done it, don't get me wrong. I've been at this company now going on 5 years here, and I can count on one hand how many times I've had to do it. And every time it's the same, right? You go into these big distribution places and you end up going to a tiny little fucking hole in the wall, barely get your trailer into the yard to unload. At least that's my experience, right? Because you're going from a manufacturer to a distributor, and these small little lumber yards and stuff like that. That's exactly what they are. They're just independent distributors. They're getting a load of shingles, and it's like, okay, park out here on the road, and we'll be out there to get you. It's like, holy Christ. But, sometimes we got to do what we got to do. Anyways, I just thought I'd make a little video. I wanted to say a couple other things about what I seen in that video. It's not really important. It's just a few nuances about how to do flatbed trucking. And if you've been doing it long enough, right, you can just watch a video and you see how somebody's doing it and you go, oh yeah, I remember when I used to do it like that, or whatever. You could just tell where the person is at in their flatbedding experience based on how they move, right? How they throw a strap, how they put their equipment away is a big one. I can look at somebody's headache rack and tell you basically what kind of a flatbedder you are, right? That's just the truth. And I think most of us that have been doing it for a while would agree. Seeing the way somebody takes care of their tools is a pretty good indication of what caliber driver they are, what caliber of a worker they are. There's a lot to be said about that, right? And it's the same thing if you look around in your truck right now and you got piles of garbage and your bed's not made and your fridge has got mold in it and your microwave is, caked on with a bunch of like, come on, people, right? Like, have a little bit of pride. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta live. This is your home. You know what I mean? You should treat it as such. And for maybe some of us, that is treating it as such, right? I don't know what to say about that. Sorry if that hurts your feelings, but that's just my opinion. And just like everybody has the freedom to say what they want to me in the comment section, I say what I want because that's how I truly feel, right? So I think that's fair, right? I think that's fair. But other than that, it's Monday. Like I said, just got done doing a reset. Oh, put you up on some game if you're ever in the area of Charleston, West Virginia. There's not much around here. And if you want to reset, the Sheets in Charleston, exit... What exit is it? It's the only Sheetz in Charleston. It's the only Sheetz truck stop in Charleston. It's got a Kroger next door. It's got a Dunkin' across the street. It's got a Family Dollar across the street. It doesn't have a lot of parking, but there was always a spot available over the weekend anyways. I was quite comfortable there, and but no showers. No showers at Sheetz, okay? But other than that, it's a good, quiet place to park, and they have access to stuff within walking distance, which is nice, right? So yeah, Monday morning, kick off the week with a video. We will definitely see you guys throughout the week. Let me know what you think of the video. Leave a comment, leave a like, hit that subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Driver's Lounge over and out.